big update on the Z. Lots of sanding has been done. So since the last video, a ton has been sanded. The entire engine bay is sanded. The interior is fully sanded. The body is sanded. The rear is sanded. There's only a few spots that aren't sanded. This chunk down here is not sanded because it's getting cut off. And the wheel wells are very crappily sanded because they're also getting cut off for the wide body. So I'm not going to spend time sanding something that's not going to be there. So yeah, this area was the biggest pain in the butt. Sanding in here, it doesn't look sanded, but it is. All right, I steel wooled everything in there. It's smooth, it's soft. I have to clean everything, so nothing's cleaned. So you still see rust residue and things like that, but everything's sanded. It's just dirty. Yeah, major pain in the butt sanding in here. I had to use steel wool and sandpaper and shove my arm in there, and I used I grabbed the steel wool with different clippers and shoved it in all the corners. So everything in there is smooth as butter. And then I'm going to use my rust encapsulator inside all of here after it's been cleaned out, and that will get everything nice and hopefully rust free. This is all sanded. I didn't sand this because I already sanded that earlier. Both sides, there's a nice chunk sanded. I just had to remove a bunch of undercoating because the Apex engineered reinforcement bars go in there. Mounts to there, and then it mounts to there. What else? What else did I do? Oh, I welded all this. These were some of the crappiest welds I'd ever seen. Not the ones that are on here. I mean, they're not, my welds are not the best welds in the world, but hell of a lot better than what was here. The OEM Datsun welds were disgusting. There was only maybe a centimeter of contact throughout this entire section here, and the same on the other side. So I just went back and I basically just tied everything in. Same thing on this side, and with all of this, this entire chunk was just open. There was no weld contact. Yeah, it was pretty awful. So I went through and fixed all that up. These also had just it just looks like it was super sloppily welded, and I went back and just made sure there was contact everywhere. Same thing on this side. Again, my welds are not the prettiest, but they'll do the trick, and they will make sure that there's contact between everything. I cleaned all this. There's some pitting. What are you going to do? Sand it in there. Sand it in there. Cleaned all this. Cleaned all this. Cleaned all this. Those are the plates for the roll cage. I'm not sure if I showed that in the last video. These are in. Roll cage plates. Roll cage plates. Roll cage plates. And then I got two more to do up here. I'm not sure if I went over that. This is something new. This is the transmission tunnel. So, yeah, I had to figure out a way to tie in the tunnel with the firewall because I had to take a massive chunk out. Oh, jeez. Oh, my gosh. The issue here is on the OEM tunnel, it goes like this. It's very curved here. And the transmission makes contact, the T56 from the Viper, it makes contact basically all across here. So I had to chop all of this out. And this also lets the engine come as far back as possible. You know, I don't want any space between the firewall and the engine. I mean, maybe half an inch, but not 4 inches because the engine's huge and I want it as far back as possible. So this is pretty thick sheet metal, much thicker than what the firewall and transmission tunnel is originally made out of. And I bent it so that it mounts against the firewall. Okay, so yeah, so this metal, it's much thicker than what was originally used on the transmission tunnel and the firewall because this was really flimsy. The firewall was it had 2 inches of play, especially right in the middle. It was awful. And just everything felt wobbly. And the car's a unibody, so I want to make sure everything is tied in as much as possible. So yeah, so these pieces, super sturdy now. The firewall has virtually no play in it. I used rivets. So there's a couple rivets on each panel that hold it to the firewall. And then there's also spot welds. And then the same thing down there, rivets and spot welds. So that whole area is very secure. I know it looks weird at this very moment, but bear with me. I have a plan. It's a weird cut. It's a very strange cut to get the Viper motor to fit in nice. There was no great way. I'm not a metal fabricator. I don't have tools to like bend the perfect firewall transmission tunnel combo thing. So what I did was this. And what we're going to do on top of this is I have fiberglass and aircraft grade resin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a fiberglass kind of like shell. So I'm going to like use tape all this up, make it smooth and nice. And then I'm going to put fiberglass on top and then the resin and roll it all in and get this, what hopefully is like a pretty transmission tunnel. The fiberglass resin that I'm using is a aircraft grade resin because normal resin is only heat resistant to like 200 degrees Fahrenheit. And even like the stuff you find on Amazon to like do fiberglass with is sometimes only rated to like 100 degrees Fahrenheit. And it won't burn after it, but it will get very pliable. And if its heat resistance is, you know, pliable at 100 degrees Fahrenheit, you know, the engine's right there. It's super hot. The exhaust manifold is pretty dang close to the firewall. So yeah, it's just not a good combo. I ended up finding aircraft grade resin and it's heat resistant up to 500 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's when it gets pliable. Its fireproofness is way higher. And fiberglass itself is, I think its heat resistant is up to like 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So I'm not worried about that. It's the resin that goes bad first. So yeah, there'll be like a shell on top of this, which will encapsulate the inside and the outside of the car. And then I'm going to use this. This is like it's like a sheet metal end cover, but I'm going to use this along this entire section. So yeah, so that'll look like that. And that will go around the entire section in and out. So that'll be smooth. The only thing that's like bad about this design, which, you know, it was going to happen no matter what, is that stuff could get caught in here. Like, you know, a rock will fly up and it's going to get caught in there. But I mean, it's not the biggest deal. I wanted to make it smooth here and make this having contact with that. But the issue is there's literally transmission like right here. And I need this space. So it was either I cut more out or I cut less out and do this. But I couldn't really cut more out. I was just getting too close to everything. So this is kind of how I had to do it. Okay, what else? I did some Bondo. Very, very, very light amount of Bondo, just in like some areas where I did some welding on the firewall. I did some welds here. I don't know if I showed that in the last video. There was half as many welds beforehand. So I just added some. That's not me. That's me, that's me, that's me. Yeah. Lots of sanding. Yeah, I've been sanding for like 4.5 days. My body freaking kills. My hands, my feet, my legs. I think I've hit my knee 100 times in the past 4 days climbing in and out of this thing. And of course, just like a million cuts on my hands. I'm just in pain. But yeah, I'm almost ready. I'm gonna wheel the car out soon, outside, and hit it with a just air gun and just blow all the dust and debris out of every nook and cranny. And then I'm gonna run the entire car over with isopropyl alcohol, clean everything, get everything nice and sparkly clean. And then I'm gonna do rust converter in all the difficult spots. So rust converter is gonna get shoved in the nooks and crannies down here. Basically anywhere, like I can't obviously sand beneath this. So I'm gonna use a rust converter. It's just like paintbrush liquid, and I'm just gonna shove it into every nook and cranny that had difficulty sanding. There was quite a bit of rust here, so I'm gonna use some there. Basically any of the joints that were rusty are gonna get rust converter. So yeah, that is the update for this video. Priming next, which will be a big step for this car. It's gonna look a lot different once we get primer on it. So yeah, that is it for this video. Hope you guys like it. Give it a thumbs up, comment. If you have any questions on anything related to the car, let me know.